Have you ever wondered why some people live healthy lives into their 90s, even 100s, despite sky-high cholesterol levels, while others, who take their medication faithfully and follow strict diets, still suffer sudden heart attacks or strokes? If the equation high cholesterol equals death were always true, these contradictions would never exist. So what's really hiding behind the curtain that few dare to talk about? Let me share two stories. The first is about a woman in her 80s. Her lab results showed cholesterol so high that many doctors shook their heads. She was advised to undergo heart surgery, even a triple bypass. She refused. Instead, she continued to eat the way she believed was sensible, walked daily, lived calmly, and she passed away at age 100, still full of energy, still carrying that so-called dangerous cholesterol level. The second story takes place at a stroke rehabilitation center. The patients there had all done everything right. Took statins as prescribed, controlled blood pressure with medication, and followed strict diets. And yet, they still suffered strokes. Many would never walk normally again. These two contrasting pictures force us to ask a troubling question. Have we been misled all these years? For decades, we've been taught that cholesterol is the #1 enemy of the heart. Public health campaigns repeated again and again that if your test number went above 200, your arteries must be clogged. That bad cholesterol was waiting for the chance to kill you. But more and more evidence shows that this simple equation is deeply flawed. Cholesterol doesn't just stick to artery walls on its own. It only shows up there when the arteries are already injured and when cholesterol particles themselves have been altered and oxidized, turning them dangerous. This means you can live with high cholesterol and still have clean arteries. Or the opposite. You can have perfectly normal cholesterol numbers yet face a stroke at any moment. This paradox is no accident. It's a sign we've been misled all these years. For decades, we've been taught that cholesterol is the #1 enemy of the heart. Public health campaigns repeated again and again that if your test number went above 200, your arteries must be clogged. That bad cholesterol was waiting for the chance to kill you. But more and more evidence shows that this simple equation is deeply flawed. Cholesterol doesn't just stick to artery walls on its own. It only shows up there when the arteries are already injured and when cholesterol particles themselves have been altered and oxidized, turning them dangerous. This means you can live with high cholesterol and still have clean arteries. Or the opposite. You can have perfectly normal cholesterol numbers yet face a stroke at any moment. This paradox is no accident. It's a sign we've been misled all these years. While all attention has been fixed on cholesterol numbers, two silent culprits, chronic inflammation and insulin resistance, have been quietly destroying blood vessels, creating the perfect conditions for disaster. What's worse, they don't show up clearly in routine blood tests, and they're rarely discussed in the doctor's office. They grow day by day, fueled by sugar, industrial oils, stress, and lack of sleep, so familiar we barely notice them anymore.
This video isn't here to add more fear, but to cut the chains of a mistaken belief. I want to help you see, cholesterol itself is not the enemy. The real problem is how we've been taught to think about it. Only when you understand this can you focus on what truly matters, protecting your arteries, keeping your blood flowing freely, and lowering your risk of stroke or heart attack. Stay with me until the end because I'll reveal the two silent culprits weakening the blood vessels of millions, and most importantly, the simple steps you can start today to take back control of your heart and your brain. For decades, we've been taught a formula that seemed obvious. High cholesterol means clogged arteries, and clogged arteries lead straight to heart attacks or strokes. That familiar image has caused countless people to look at their blood test results with fear, simply because their total cholesterol number was above 200. But the truth isn't that simple. Cholesterol in the blood does not just stick to a healthy artery wall. For plaque to form, two conditions must be present. The inner lining of the artery must be damaged, and the cholesterol particles themselves must be altered, oxidized. This explains why some people live for many years with high cholesterol and still have clean arteries, while others with normal numbers suffer sudden strokes. The problem isn't the number itself, but the condition of the artery walls and the quality of the LDL particles in the blood. Yet instead of looking at the bigger picture, we've been told to focus on just one measurement. The healthcare system and the media chose the easy path, something simple to explain and easy to track, turning cholesterol into the sole villain, when in reality it's more like a bystander present at the scene. The result? Millions of older adults take their pills faithfully, watch the numbers go down, and assume they're safe. Meanwhile, chronic inflammation and oxidative stress are quietly damaging their arteries day after day. This is the dangerous deception. Not because anyone is deliberately hiding the truth, but because we've all grown too comfortable with a simplified story, when the reality is much more complex. And only by accepting that truth can we finally ask the real questions. What is damaging the arteries in the first place, and why are cholesterol particles being altered? It is these questions that bring us closer to uncovering the true culprits behind strokes and heart attacks.
For years, the phrase LDL, the bad cholesterol, has planted fear in people's minds. But the truth is not that simple. LDL is really just a delivery truck carrying cholesterol, the raw material your body needs to make hormones, repair damaged tissue, and protect the nervous system. Without LDL, all of these vital processes would stall. So why has LDL gotten such a bad reputation? The problem only begins when these trucks break down, when LDL becomes oxidized under the influence of high blood sugar, smoking, stress, or chronic inflammation. At that point, they turn into small, dense particles that can slip into tiny cracks in artery walls, trigger an immune reaction, and form plaque. The key point is that not all LDL is the same. Large, light, round LDL particles are almost harmless, like rubber balls bouncing off artery walls without causing damage. In contrast, the small, dense LDL particles are the real threat because they easily get trapped in tears and set off the disease process. Yet most routine blood tests only give you one number for total LDL. They don't tell you whether you have mostly safe rubber balls or dangerous metal fragments. It's like knowing the total weight of vehicles on the road, but not knowing if it's heavy trucks or just a few bicycles. This lack of detail has led millions of people to be labeled at risk based on a single number, when what really matters is the body's internal environment. Are the arteries inflamed, and has LDL been altered into a harmful form? Understanding this makes it clear that LDL is not the original culprit. It only becomes a problem when the body is out of balance. And only by reducing inflammation and keeping blood sugar steady can we truly protect the heart and brain from danger. Inflammation is the body's natural response, and when you get a cut or a sprain, acute inflammation is actually a healing signal. But far more dangerous is chronic inflammation, the kind that works silently, without obvious swelling or redness, yet day after day wears down the delicate lining of your blood vessels. When that once smooth surface becomes rough and cracked, small, dense, oxidized LDL particles can easily slip in and get trapped, setting off the formation of plaque. The roots of chronic inflammation often lie in everyday habits. White bread, pastries, sugary sodas keep insulin levels spiking, driving ongoing inflammation. Industrial cooking oils like corn, soybean, and sunflower oil overload the body with omega-6 compared to omega-3, pushing it into a constant inflammatory state. Add in prolonged stress and sleepless nights, and cortisol remains chronically high, like pouring fuel onto an already smoldering fire. The danger is that many people don't even realize chronic inflammation is present. They may just notice nagging joint aches, fatigue, or skin flare-ups. Yet inflammation can be measured with a test called hs-CRP,
a reliable marker of low-grade inflammation and a strong indicator of blood vessel health.
Once you understand this mechanism, cholesterol itself no longer appears to be the villain. It's more like a repair worker dispatched to the site of injury. The real problem isn't its presence, but why the artery wall was inflamed in the first place. And the answer often lies in modern lifestyle. Too much sugar, industrial oils, chronic stress, and lack of rest. Without addressing these root causes, we're only treating the surface, while the deeper forces continue to silently damage the heart and brain. High blood pressure has long been considered one of the biggest risk factors for stroke, but few people realize that its roots often begin with a silent culprit called insulin resistance. When the body becomes less sensitive to insulin, the hormone responsible for moving sugar from the blood into the cells, the pancreas is forced to pump out more insulin to compensate. This keeps blood insulin levels abnormally high day after day. And those elevated insulin levels set off a chain of silent but extremely dangerous effects. They signal the kidneys to hold on to more salt and water, increasing blood volume and putting greater pressure on artery walls. At the same time, high insulin makes the vessels stiff, stripping away the natural flexibility that normally helps them handle changes in blood flow. The result? Blood pressure climbs higher and higher until hypertension becomes a permanent label in your medical file. But high blood pressure is more than just a worrisome number on a monitor. It's a warning sign that your metabolism is deeply out of balance. When arteries are already inflamed by a diet high in sugar, industrial oils, and lack of rest, the constant internal pressure only accelerates their breakdown. Think of the inner lining of your blood vessels like a fragile levee. Chronic inflammation is the erosion eating away at it, while high blood pressure is the rushing current pounding against it day and night. Sooner or later, cracks appear and spread, and once plaque is formed, high pressure turns it into a ticking bomb. The moment it ruptures, a clot forms instantly, blocking blood flow and triggering a stroke or heart attack. The troubling reality is that many people focus only on taking blood pressure medication, without realizing that the number on the monitor is just the tip of the iceberg. Lowering pressure temporarily does not address the true cause of insulin resistance and a disrupted metabolic state. That's why when we look only at blood pressure or cholesterol numbers, we may feel reassured for the moment, but inside, dangerous forces are still quietly damaging the arteries. For those over 60, understanding the link between insulin resistance and high blood pressure is the key to real prevention. Because only by tackling the root cause through proper nutrition, regular physical activity, and steady blood sugar control can we truly protect the heart and brain from a sudden, devastating blow. For many years, when people heard from their doctor that their cholesterol was high or their blood pressure was above the limit, the automatic reaction was to accept a prescription and start taking pills every day. Statins to lower cholesterol, diuretics or ACE inhibitors to lower blood pressure. These names have become all too familiar in the medicine cabinets of older adults. In reality, medication can be helpful in urgent cases or for those at very high risk, quickly lowering the numbers and reducing some immediate danger. But if we treat medication as the only long-term solution, we may be ignoring the true roots of the problem. Research shows that while statins lower overall cholesterol, they cannot distinguish between harmless LDL particles and the small, dense LDL that actually cause harm. In other words, sometimes the drugs clear out the innocent bystanders while leaving the real culprits behind. Statins also interfere with the body's natural pathway for producing CoQ10, a vital compound cells use to make energy. This is why many older adults, after taking these drugs for some time, begin to feel fatigue, muscle pain, or even problems with memory and concentration. Blood pressure medications aren't much different. The number on the monitor may come down, but the underlying causes of vessel damage, insulin resistance and chronic inflammation, remain, silently eroding health. One report even revealed that prescription drugs are now among the top 3 leading causes of death, right behind heart disease and cancer. What's shocking is that half of these deaths happened in patients who took their medication exactly as prescribed. They did everything right, and yet the outcome was still tragic. The reason is simple. Most of these drugs only treat symptoms, lowering blood sugar, lowering blood pressure, lowering cholesterol, without ever addressing the real causes. That means the disease isn't truly healed. It's merely covered up for a time, while the root problem continues to grow into something far more dangerous. This doesn't mean we should turn our backs on modern medicine. Medications have their place, especially in emergencies or in very high-risk cases. But for the vast majority of people over 60, what matters most is lifestyle change. Cutting back on sugar and refined carbs, eliminating industrial oils, getting enough sleep, exercising regularly, and managing stress. Medication can help, but it can never replace these steps. In other words, the real solution isn't passively taking pills for life, but actively giving your body the conditions it needs to heal and protect itself. There are 2 familiar fuels that feed disease every single day, quietly pushing blood vessels to the edge of danger: refined sugar and industrial oils. They show up in meals so often that many people forget they are the hidden enemies. First is sugar and white starch. Every time you eat pastries, pasta, white rice, or drink a can of soda, your blood sugar spikes. To control it, the pancreas is forced to release a surge of insulin. When this pattern repeats over and over, insulin stays chronically high, the body slips into insulin resistance, and chronic inflammation flares up. The once smooth artery walls become rough and fragile, making it easy for damaged LDL to slip in and form plaque. The next culprit is industrial vegetable oils: soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, soybean oil. They're often marketed as heart-healthy, but in reality they contain far too much omega-6 compared to omega-3. This imbalance keeps the body locked in a state of low-grade, chronic inflammation. Just look at the labels on salad dressings, mayonnaise jars, or cookie packages in your kitchen. You'll find these oils everywhere. The good news is you can actively cut off this toxic fuel source. By sharply reducing sugar and refined carbs and replacing industrial oils with olive oil, butter, avocado, or natural nuts, you're already taking powerful steps to ease inflammation and allow your arteries to heal. Because at the end of the day, cholesterol is only the repair worker that shows up when a vessel is damaged. The real hammers pounding away at those artery walls every single day are sugar and industrial oils. Remove them, and you extinguish the fire at its source, giving your heart and brain a true chance at lasting health. If sugar and industrial oils are the fuel feeding disease, then our bodies also have access to natural medicines that can extinguish inflammation, protect vessel walls, and keep the heart and brain strong. The best part is, these aren't exotic or expensive. They're right there in your everyday meals if you know what to choose. For those over 60, 3 groups of foods should be prioritized: healthy fats, quality protein, and low-starch vegetables. Let's start with healthy fats. For many years, fat was given a bad name, but modern science shows the opposite. Natural, unrefined fats are powerful allies for heart health. Extra virgin olive oil, avocados, nuts like walnuts and almonds, and fatty fish such as salmon and sardines are rich in omega-3s, fatty acids, with proven anti-inflammatory effects. They help reduce plaque buildup, improve arterial flexibility, and even protect memory. For older adults, just a few servings of fatty fish each week or adding olive oil and nuts to your meals can give your body a natural shield of protection. The second group is high-quality protein. After age 60, muscles and body tissues begin to decline rapidly if they don't get enough raw material to sustain themselves. Protein is that building material that repairs everything from muscles, skin, and hair to the very lining of your blood vessels. When vessel walls are inflamed or damaged, protein provides the amino acids needed to rebuild and strengthen them. On top of that, protein helps stabilize blood sugar, keeps you feeling full longer, and curbs sugar cravings, an important step in preventing insulin resistance. Choose clean, natural sources of protein: grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, eggs, fish, or plant-based options like beans and lentils. These not only support heart health, but preserve muscle mass, flexibility, and mobility as you age. Finally, we have low-starch vegetables, the body's natural antioxidant medicine. Leafy greens like spinach and kale, along with broccoli, bell peppers, and tomatoes, are rich in plant compounds that neutralize free radicals, the culprits that oxidize LVL and damage vessel walls. The fiber in vegetables also nourishes healthy gut bacteria, strengthens immunity, and helps regulate inflammation. A colorful plate of vegetables isn't just pleasing to the eye, it's a powerful therapy for your arteries and brain cells. When you combine these three food groups, healthy fats, quality protein, and low-starch vegetables, you give your body the most powerful tools to repair itself and fight chronic inflammation. No drastic changes are needed, just a few small adjustments each day. Swap industrial oils for olive oil. Trade pastries for a handful of nuts. Add leafy greens and fatty fish to your meals. Over time, your body begins to recover. Your arteries regain flexibility, and your heart and brain stay well protected. After age 60, it's these simple, everyday choices that become the real medicine for a strong and fulfilling life. When it comes to heart health checkups, most people only look at the standard cholesterol panel: total cholesterol, LDL, and HDL. But as you've seen, those numbers don't tell the whole story. You can have good cholesterol numbers while your arteries are still damaged, or high cholesterol while your arteries remain clean. To truly understand your risk, especially after 60, there are 3 important tests you should know about and actively ask your doctor for. The first is hs-CRP, high-sensitivity C-reactive protein. This test measures the level of silent inflammation in your body, the very type of chronic inflammation that scratches artery walls and makes plaque formation more likely. If this number is high, it means you're carrying a slow-burning fire inside, threatening both your heart and your brain. The second test is fasting insulin. Many people are used to checking blood sugar, but blood sugar only shows the surface. You can have normal glucose levels while your insulin is high, meaning your body is struggling to keep balance. Persistently high insulin is the clearest sign of insulin resistance, the hidden driver behind high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and stroke. The third is the NMR LipoProfile or ApoB test. These are advanced cholesterol tests that reveal whether your LDL is mostly the harmless, fluffy kind or the small, dense particles, the ones most likely to penetrate artery walls. A single LDL number is not enough to tell the story. What really matters is which type dominates. Together, these 3 tests are like a detailed map, showing you the state of inflammation, metabolic balance, and the true quality of your blood lipids. With this data in hand, you no longer have to live in fear of a single cholesterol number. You'll actually know where your heart and blood vessels stand. That's the smarter way to take control of your health after 60. After walking through this journey together, it's clear cholesterol itself is not the #1 enemy. What silently erodes the heart and brain are chronic inflammation and insulin resistance, the 2 culprits that weaken artery walls, making them prone to rupture and clot formation. Focusing only on lowering cholesterol is like staring at the speedometer while ignoring failing brakes. This is why so many people take their medications faithfully, see their numbers improve, yet still suffer a devastating stroke. The good news is you can change the story. All it takes is starting with simple steps. Cut back on sugar and processed foods. Eliminate industrial oils and add more greens, fatty fish, nuts, and olive oil to your meals. Walk every day, get enough sleep, and learn to manage stress.
These are the true miracles that allow your heart and brain to recover. And don't forget, there are tests far more important than total cholesterol. hs-CRP to measure inflammation, fasting insulin to detect insulin resistance, and the NMR LipoProfile to reveal whether your LDL is safe or dangerous. If this video has given you a fresh perspective, hit the like button so I know this message has been valuable. Share it with friends or loved ones who may be worried about cholesterol, because they too might be focusing on a single number while overlooking the real root causes. And remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss more vital knowledge to help you live healthier and more peacefully after 60.